Same thing with my wife. Like we see couples all the time, and I'm like, what am I seeing? Like I hear people online. I see all these posts. Maybe it's my algorithm. Maybe I'm caught up in the algorithm. But we in two different
Mm-hmm.
areas. I'm in Atlanta. You in DC,
Mm-hmm.
and we both seeing the same things where we going out. Like my wife and I, we went out. I think it was yesterday to our daughter's practice, and we see couples just walking around together. We go out to eat. We see a lot of couples out, and I'm like, maybe is it because we go in places because we're married? Now we go in places as a married couple. We see other couples, or is it just the way that it is now? Like the internet is lying to us.
Mm. Well, that is the question. Is the
Hmm.
internet lying?
Yeah.
Um, I I don't so do I think the internet is lying? Yes and no. Like, I think that there's an over concentration of people online in the Black community. I mean, of course, maybe in every community, but we're talking about Black community. There's an
Hmm.
over concentration of people who are maybe frustrated, disgruntled, burned, got burned. And those voices are much louder than
Yes.
the people who are just normal in love or just living their life and being regular. you know and the internet, that is kind of the whole point of social media and the internet, is things are sensationalized. We don't realize that how the media, even legacy media, CNN, that's how they get our attention. They make things look like it's worse than it is. That's why a lot
Hmm.
of people are starting to fall back from legacy media, is because it's like, no, don't tell them, don't make it seem like all the airplanes are falling out of the sky. The reality is
Yes.
that people are still flying every single day, and but they will have you thinking like, oh, I can't fly right now because Southwest, and don't, so
Yes.
that's happening in the Black community too. It's like,
Yes.
oh,
And
everywhere, Black women are so toxic, Black men are so, and it's sensationalized. But the truth is that offline things are just happening. It is business as usual, you
yes,
know.
BAU. And I would say this. I would say this too, just to go back to say, like, you said your husband is not really in the spaces of social media. I think when people are in relationships, they not amplifying what is going on in the day to day as juxtaposed to somebody who's single and
Mm,
they like, oh my God, it's hard out here.
mm,
The dating pool got pissed. Like, if you in a relationship, you don't have to talk about how hard it is not to be in a relationship because you're already in a relationship. So you're not going out there doing that. And a
bad.
lot of people are not, well, a lot of couples, I say the majority of couples are not making couple relationship kind of content because every day is a different battle when it comes to being in a relationship or a different victory when it comes to being in a relationship. So you don't want to share everything and you don't want everybody in your business. I know I don't personally. So like I keep
Yeah,
my private life private and my public life public, and I don't share everything my wife and I go through, whether it's good or bad, because it's our journey to go through it, and I don't want to share that with the world. And I think a lot of couples are like that. Like we don't need to talk about this all the time. We don't need to have these conversations all the time. I don't need to be so vulnerable with the public perception and everybody is weighing in on our lifestyle and giving us
mhm,
advice on y'all should do this, y'all should do that, and she ain't this and he ain't that. Like I don't need all that because at the end of the day, we only have each other. And I think when people are in
yeah,
relationships, they're not trying to um, put everything out on Front Street. And I think, like you said, your
mhm,
husband say, I see what you say online. I don't see it in real life because perhaps he's not online as much. And
yeah,
he might not have a reason to be. Same thing with my wife. Like I think my wife probably going like a year and a half before she really, really been engaging on Instagram. Like she just kind of like I don't
mhm.
need this no more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, that is actually so true. It's so interesting how, yeah, people who, one thing I realized, okay, so I actually had to go back because I was like, how did the other day on my YouTube, if you go on my channel, you'll
Hmm.
see I put relationships in my YouTube banner. I have been so resistant to do that because I was like, I'm not trying to be a relationship coach. I never even got on YouTube talk about relationships. And I actually went back on my channel and I looked at my previous videos. It wasn't until like 6 months into my YouTube journey that I actually start talking about relationships. I was never the only reason why I continue to talk about it
Hmm.
is because I realize that's what people want to hear about. And I get why, because it is such a major pain point for, as you said, especially people who are not, and let me know if I'm breaking up. Am I
No, you
breaking
good.
up?
No, you good.
I'm good. Okay. I
Hmm.
think I need to talk with Xfinity because on my end, I'm breaking up. So me and Xfinity need to have a conversation after this because yeah, I pay too much per month for this to keep happening. But um, it's a major pain point, and especially it's a major pain point for people who are trying to get into a relationship, or
Hmm.
maybe they're in a bad relationship. So I keep showing up and I keep talking about that because I know that that is, what do they say when you on YouTube you're trying to help solve people's problems. Not that I can solve anybody's problem, but I know it's a problem, and
Hmm.
so people are gonna gravitate to anything that they think could potentially either solve their problem or address their problem. But yeah, it's really like I'll be honest, I never expected to be on YouTube talking about relationships. And that's shocking to people, but because that's why probably most people are following me.
Hmm.
But I was trying to talk about everything because to be honest with you, I don't see myself as the best person to be talking about it because of all the struggles that I've had. But then I realized that I guess people actually connect to struggle, you know?
Yeah.
Like that, I guess so I learned a lot just being on YouTube about people and how we are. And I think another thing we do is like I know sometimes I'll talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and there's the physiological needs, the safety needs, there's love and belonging, which is like the third, like right in the middle of the pyramid. And I
Hmm.
always say that one of the worst things you can do is to pretend like you don't need love. And that's
Mm.
something that a lot of black women, a lot of women, well, I'm gonna just say a lot of black women because I can't speak for what other cultures are doing, but I know
Yeah.
in our community, you'll hear a lot of women say, "I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need a man." And the truth is that it's actually part of, as humans, we all need love.
Yes.
Granted, we need love from our parents. We need love from, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. But when you're grown and you don't have your parents tucking you in bed at night, love has to come from somewhere. And I
Hmm.
think part of this pain point, because I always try to figure out why is this such a pain point for people? Why are people so obsessed with talking about love and relationships? A lot of it comes down to the way we deny ourselves the things that we really need and want. And so then we use the internet to try to, we say we don't want it, we don't need it, and then we go online and kind of like use that as a place to air our grievances about what we
Yeah.
don't have. So it's really weird, but yeah.
It is. It's very weird, but that's just where we standing at right now. Like people, like you said, people love bonding around the trauma of not finding love, and they just
Trauma
want to, like you
bonding.
said, trauma bonding and just, all right, I got hurt one time. Hey, look, this person got hurt twice. We could be besties and talk about how we got hurt instead of healing.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's
And
probably
that
why it's so amplified on social media.
that is exactly why it's so amplified.
Yes. And social media job is what? Just to keep you on their app. So if they realize, if the algorithm could pick up that you looking at this type of content, what kind of content is going to keep being fed to you? The content of, like you said, women ain't ish, men ain't ish, back and forth, the banter, the crazy scenarios, the women saying that, oh, you better make $500,000 to take care of my 5 kids, and oh, you gotta be 6 feet and have all these type of criterias, and the men, criticizing that. It's like it's the same thing over and over again, and they keep you there with the algorithm. That's all they do. They keep you there with the algorithm.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, at what point, I guess I wonder, are people, even the people who watch the video, And okay, fine, I get it. Sometimes you do want a place to air your grievances. Maybe you're struggling in a relationship. A lot of people, men have said that they kind of use my channel to understand Black women. Maybe, that makes sense. But at what point do you take it to that next level? And and what does that next level look like? Does it look like, okay, now you're going to log off and you're going to actually go have a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
said Black woman that frustrated you? Or does it look like you are just in different people's comment sections complaining? That's kind of what I wonder. Like, I don't mind sort of being a little spectacle in the whole scheme of Black YouTube, Black relationships, but I just want to know, after you leave my channel, what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything about it, or are you just watching, like you said, the next video, and then airing another complaint in that content creators
Yeah.
comment section?
So like what you're saying is, I heard somebody compare it to reading about playing basketball. Like, what's going to be a better outcome? Reading about playing basketball or going out and playing basketball? You have to go out and
Exactly.
play. You have to go out and do this in real life. Like, you can continue to read about it, watch videos on it, consume content about it, but if you're not doing it in real life, then what difference does it make? You're still going to be stuck. You're going to be the most knowledgeable person about basketball, but the worst basketball player on the court.
Exactly.
Yep.
That is so true. And another thing is, and I always go back to the passport thing, because it's like that's something I see all the time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, we're just gonna go get our passports, forget Black women. But then these are the same men in real life who only be messing with Black women and have not gotten their passports. And even if they did get their passport, they haven't used it. So that's another thing. If you break it down, the nuances of it, it's like, not only is there this online world and then there's the offline world, but there's people who are lying online saying that they're going to do something that offline they know they're not going to do. It's
Yeah.
it's so easy to type and say I'm going to get my passport and forget forget Black American women. It's another thing to actually take those steps. And we all know, I don't personally know any man who has done that. I'm not saying men don't do it. I know some of them do,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know a whole lot of Black men who have literally gotten their passport to go date international women.
I
So
know a few. I know a few, but I know men. So that's why I know a few men who done it. So I do know
sure,
a few,
I know
but
no more men
I
than I
think,
do.
yeah, and I also think, like you said, it's very interesting to hear that you saying like, hey, these men talk about getting the passports and they're not even probably eligible to get a passport. They probably got some crazy criminal history or some child support or something like that. But now they can't flip the script and they can't even be in their position to do what they said they're going to do because of the decision they made. But that's a whole another story for another day. But I want to go back to I guess like we were saying about the with the internet showing the single life and what we seeing in real life, right? So we do
Hmm.
see. I don't know. Like I said, it could just be because we both married, right? So like for example, let me just give you a backstory. My wife said I haven't seen a Toyota Prius in a long time. Now we keep seeing Toyota Priuses because you mentioned it. Now it's in your psyche to be on the lookout for it. Do you think that's the
Yeah.
reason why perhaps like you and I in different areas, different cities, seeing more couples together because now that we are married, not that we married to each other, but we both married to our spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Definitely, you know, the example you use with a car, that happens all the time. It's like, when you're in a certain situation, it's almost like psychologically you're going to seek out things that kind of reinforce your own situation.
Yeah.
So, if you are married and Black love and all that, then you're probably going to notice that when you go out, versus if you're single and you're not only just single, but you're frustrated, disgruntled, or whatever it is, then you're kind of, that's what we do as humans. I think we kind of are
Mhm.
always trying to reinforce our belief system.
Yes.
So a lot of it kind of has to do with what a person's belief system is, and are they just seeking information to reinforce what they believe, even if
Yeah.
it's not true. because sometimes what you believe is not true, but
Hmm.
you're gonna see things out that kind of validate that. And so yeah,
Yes.
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I think maybe that could be a reason why we are seeing what we're seeing. So I want to give you
Yeah.
guys some of the stats, right? Because I did pull some numbers up. And from the ages of 30 to, I was a 55, I think it was 30 to 65, say, give or take. I should have been naked earlier. It's the national stats of people that are married is about 70-30. So 70% of people are married, 30% of people are not. Or married in a relationship could be grouped into one thing, and 30% of people are not. So naturally, we say, hey, what we seeing in real life is different from what we're seeing online, because if it's a 70-30 split between the ages of 30 to 65, that means people online are lying. But I think now we have to bring it back to what kind of content we consume. You have a black husband, I have a black wife, and we follow black content. Now, if you look at the content and you look at the numbers of black people in that same statistic, the numbers are flipped. It's 30% married, 70% single. So I think we are seeing more married people out there in our, our day to day, but perhaps the numbers are saying that maybe it is true. Maybe it is a lot of people out here single. And I want to ask you this: how come black people or black Americans are the outlier when it comes to this marriage?
Ooh, yeah. So yeah, so to your first part, I think that is very. I mean, there's obviously a ton of truth to that. Yes, in the black community, there are disparities there. Thank you for bringing the numbers, because I'm not the stats person, but yes, though that to actually hear that, that's a huge 70% single, 30% married.
Yeah, a whole flip.
Um, that's a huge flip. Uh, so I think there's so many reasons why. There's so many reasons why.